Mustafa, for giving us the time to be here and to share our views and to learn about your experience. In order to achieve the long-term goals, there is a need for a comprehensive capacity building. As you know, that over the course of 30 years, Afghanistan had a continuous conflict and war, and therefore our experience concerned either have been retired or passed away or became refugee, and therefore the new generation of civil servants that we have in Afghanistan, they need further capacity building and new exposure to the new global challenges and experiences that you have. And therefore, we are here also to hear from you and to share our understanding regarding a very competitive civil service in Afghanistan and around the world and in the region. As you know, better good governance requires a good mechanism and a good human capital, and without these two factors, a good governance cannot be possible. Years ago, we began our comprehensive administrative reforms, and before that we really didn't have a solid mechanism, and over the course of 8 years we achieved a great deal, but still it's a long way to go. We are under no illusion that even though we achieve a great deal, but still in order to have a good governance, a good civil service system in Afghanistan, we still need to get feedback and to understand other countries in the region, in this country, is solid steps that we have been taking based on our values and benchmark some of your achievements and some of your methods and mechanisms. The similarities and the cultural and religious values that we share, today's visit of Nepal gives us the golden opportunity to hear from you and to listen to you, and some of the issues and some of the mechanisms and values that you have, we may take back to Afghanistan. The Honorable Ambassador of Afghanistan to Indonesia mentioned an expression that was believed to say by Hazrat Ali Karam that there's a book written by your Minister of Higher Education and Culture recently. Professor Muhammad Noor in the beginning of the book stated and quoted Hazrat Ali saying that today's generation need to be equipped and armed by today's education and values, because today's generation require new values that you didn't have in the previous generation.
Last thing that I would like to say.
Last thing, I didn't notice that some part.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Something very important to see now.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
In conclusion, Chairman says that given the fact that we have been far ahead, we would like to see the NEPA, the institute that you are in charge of capacity building, to have a twinning with our institute in Afghanistan, and we would really like to have a close relationship in the future. Thank you very much.
Yes, please. It's Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's about that form about more than 4 years, or it was the director of the Institute of Diplomacy in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So I'm very close to your work and your mission. And one of the things which Afghanistan is looking to bring together the people of Afghanistan and people of Indonesia, because we have a huge emotional capital. We have to share this capital and bring it to practice in our life. And the question is that we have the same institute, and the director of Institute, Nasser Osmani, is here. My proposal is that to prepare a draft on affiliation between two institutes, and tomorrow also he would be here. I think we can do it, sign it by tomorrow. We have now such kind of affiliation with some universities, with Bogor Agricultural University, with President University. Now we are working with the University of Indonesia and with others. But I think this is more closer to us, which is in practice. And also we have a common friend who support us. It is the United States, it is the international community, it is JICA and other countries who support us, and World Bank. So I think if we can prepare such a draft, this could be signed just tomorrow, and it could bring a more relations between two institutions who already close by their emotion, their goals, and their means of their instruments to apply for progress in development. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ambassador. I think we agree that first that we have a long time of relationship between Indonesia and Afghanistan, and we also share about our history, our cultural backgrounds, and also we have emotional tie among two countries. And the second that I think it is really important that capacity building should be done not only for government, Afghanistan government, but also Indonesian government. So it is the right time to share not only our experience but also your experience, so we can exchange our experience, our needs to improve our capacity in our daily life in government aspect. And I think why don't we start our short presentation about the topics here, and maybe yang nomor 3 recruitment first, recruitment framework. Yeah, as already scheduled in the timetable here, so I'd like to express very short about recruitment framework, although in general Mr. Vice Minister already talked about this. Next. Yeah, I think recruitment policy is really important in the current situation in Indonesia, since we have the new law regarding civil service management. And one of the aspects from civil service management is indeed the recruitment aspect. Recruitment is very important to find the best employee for our government institution, and the best employee will be expected to build a capable and professional bureaucracy. We can improve our performance, our service delivery, just because we have the best cadre of our institution. Next. And these are the principle of recruitment policy introduced by the new law. First of all, is recruitment policy should be very competitive. There is no favoritism, or there is no capacity of the candidates. The second is fair, principle of fairness. And the third will be the objective. There is no subjective assessment, subjective approach in this case. And also, transparency is the other important principle. To try to build the transparency level, so Indonesian government applied CAT, computer assisted tests, during the recruitment process. And the other one is about that recruitment policy should be free from collusion, corruption, and nepotism. This is the big enemy of Indonesian government. And finally, there is no fish at all in their recruitment policy. In the previous stage, there are so many illegal fee not stated by the law, but it is just a kind of corruption by a certain actor, especially in local level. And why we need a good recruitment? since we recognize that there is still a gap, qualification gap or competency deficiency about the standard of position and the competence standard of employee. It means that our employee is actually still low level of competency. Beside program of capacity building, indeed we need to build a new generation of employee by deploying new policy on recruitment. Next. And as I mentioned before, that there is a policy change just happened in the beginning of this year from law number 43, 1999 to be law number 5, 2014. And there are some strategic changes accompanying this policy change. First of all, that the system of echelons mean rank of position is already abolished, and it is replaced by grading system. So although we occupy the same level of job, for example, but actually the grade might be different among jobs. And the second, there is also a change from from permanent system of employee, and now we try to introduce a kind of contractual employees. Maybe in the future, the number or the percentage of contractual employees will be much bigger than the permanent employee. And the other thing that recruitment is now must be open among civil servants. There is no appointment for job, but the job should be opened for every civil servant. And the other thing is that we also introduce about the periodical position exchange between public and private institutions. I think Mr. Eko yesterday is also mentioned about this. Next. And basically, that there are two types of recruitment. The first is for new entrants, and the second is recruitment for vacant position. Next. Next. Yeah. Here are some methods of recruitment. The first is fresh graduate test according to Article 58, that fresh graduate young generation should be tested before they enter to government office. And the second, the other method is open selection within civil servant for high level position. It means that for echelon 1 and echelon 2, job in the level of director at least, it should be open for all civil servants in all over Indonesia. And the third one, contract for specific functional position and service delivery functions. So not all jobs, not all positions will be delivered or will be granted by contractual system. But this is only for certain positions, such as specific functional position like researcher or trainers or auditors, etc. And also service delivery function, like position deliverer of what was it? License, yeah. And the fourth one, we also introduce about the position exchange with private sector. It is written in the Article 70, and there is a time limit that the exchange of position is only allowed at a maximum of 1 year. And the last is about job movement. So, for example, from we call it structural position. From structural position, we can be moved to the functional position and vice versa. So it is a kind of job movement. So when there is a job vacant, so it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to open to the fresh graduate, but we can find our best candidate from the existing employee. Yeah, I think it's very short presentation that I can explain about the recruitment system. And yeah, and I think tomorrow you will visit BKN, Civil Service Office of Indonesia, and I think you can explore much deeper about the recruitment system in particular, and also civil service reform in general. I would like to stop from this presentation. If there is any response or suggestion, question, welcome. Yes, Mr. Ahmad.
Mr. Kipke, would that be possible, as you give a great deal of time and importance on the hiring process, that how the mechanism of hiring for the senior level, middle, and also for contractual take place in the NBC? As well as the new civil servant that will graduate from college out the is an entry level.
Thank you. Pak Anwar, maybe you would like to respond to this question.
Thank you very much. My name is Anwar Sanusi. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I would like to respond to a very interesting question. One is about the recruitment system. As my deputy explained, that now we have some method in recruiting a new employee of Indonesian civil servants. One is for new entrants, and then the second is for the vacant position. For the vacant position, actually since maybe last 2 years indeed, yeah, we proposed a new, we call it by a new competitive recruitment for a senior official. For instance, is the chairman of this institution, NIPA, National Institute of Public Administration. Is the candidate is come up from the new competitive recruitment. So the process is, first of all, we announce on national media, in national newspaper, and there is a vacant on position of chairman of NIPA. And that's we appointed some teams as we call by external team who appointed by Ministry of Administrative Reform, and that's he will be runs all activity in recruitment process. So according to experience of our process, there are about 20 candidates apply for this process. And then we've done some administrative step. One is administrative step is in accordance to the requirements, because there are some qualification that already noted on announcement. For instance, maybe like the experience on governance, and then education background, etc. And then we conduct doing written exams. Yeah, for all participants should make like a short paper, and then by the short paper we will evaluate, which is maybe and then will be selected amongst 20s, and then we selected only for the 10 candidates. Of the 10 candidates, then we conducted like interview, and then we'll fit to our requirements. Because like in our country systems, for each position, luckily we already have like what job competence that are needed. Yeah. For instance, as a chairman of NIMBA, there are core competence that should be has like the competence in knowledge, yeah, and then the competence in doing research, because we are a think tanks agency, and then also they have like additional competence. Additional competence, for instance, is the competence in communication. As I mentioned, NIPA is like a think tank, so they have like the way how to communicate with our stakeholders and etc. And then afterwards, we come up with 3 candidates, yeah. And then from among of 3 candidates, we send to the president's office, and then the president selects of the candidates. And then luckily, the ranks presidents is choose, yeah, SBY, choose the number 1. Number 1 is known as the current our chairman. The way this is also true for the deputy, like Mr. Trividono also is the result of the competitive recruitment. This the new system, and then hopefully maybe we will run this system and then we will apply for all senior officials. And then the second thing is we contractual based system. It's a new system. Because it's new system, so we don't have any experience. We just not prepare. By this system, it will encourage for the new Indonesian people who has a good capability to participate, and then to be a public servant in our system. Because in the previous Indonesian public servant, Indonesian civil servant, seems as like is for the new best graduate is the second or third choice after they fail on the competition and on the private ones. This one, so, but no, by this system we treat them is very special. You can come, you can enter not, and then you can have like the position not from the beginning, even from the middle or on the top position. And that is for the new, for the fresh graduate student. We, as my deputy mentioned, we already introduced that's a new system that seems is to be fair, objective, and then we try to introduce like a computer assessed test. So by this computer, the all candidate can follow what my status. And that's if maybe if I fail, it will be announced soon. This is a new system that we want to introduce. That's maybe my response for the first question. Thank you very much.
on higher education experience when it comes to new entries, middle managers, when they are being hired to the government. Specifically, new entries and middle managers. Okay, if excluding the new entries, what about the senior and middle managers? The factors of higher education and experience regarding the government. Either the education level need to be related to the position or not. The chairman has this question because one of the primary responsibility of the chairman is the hiring, even the higher position. That's why he's much interested in research. Right.
Thank you. Yeah, actually, discussion regarding the education is quite tricky in Indonesia because our president and our constitution doesn't necessarily to be a very educated person. Yeah. So only those who graduate from senior high school, then they are already eligible.
Anyone who graduated from high school?
Yes, for political appointee, including, for example, our district major or governor. So we don't need to, to have, for example, a doctoral degree of education. So, yeah, that's right. That's why for political appointee, and that's why when we compare about the political position and also career position, sometimes it is a kind of exchangeable. Why we have to have a doctor for director, for example, but for president we only have a bachelor, for example. Yeah, and that's why the degree of the education is not formal prerequisite.
For political appointment, not for competitive process.
Yeah, for competitive process, it's just kind of not formally being stated in the regulation. But of course, we encourage the people who already master and doctor will have a kind of advantage.
Yes, thank you. The chairman wants to know that, so I have to translate that. میگن که جناس پوزیشن ها و کرسی های سیاسی که ما داریم ظاهر به تصمیمات یا لیف افرادی نیست، چون که در جمهور یا کسانی که مقرر است و غیر هستند یا ممکن است موازه باشند. پس ما آمدیم سر مراحل رقابت. آمدیم سر مقصد پوزیشن هایی که از لیف رقابت میاد با من هم گفتن که ترکی است اگر کسی که تحصیلات میخواد عالی داشته باشه اکادمیک است، اما ضرور نیست که تحصیلات عالی داشته باشه، تجربه خیلی مهم است و میزان کار.
Yeah, the other thing that the other prerequisite of job promotion is administrative aspect. For example, about the years of service, how long someone is already served for the government, and also the grade, the recent grade of the employee before coming to the next grade. And the other thing that is already mentioned by Mr. Eko yesterday, that they have to pass from the exam, from the competitive test. So it is at least two types of tests. The first is psychological test, and the other thing is the competence test. So despite the education, we try to focus on whether they already proven by passing the test or not.
می‌دونید که با اینکه اصلاح مهم است، اما چند بودی از این اشاره تجارب یک فرد است که چقدر تجربه کافی جنبشی مدیریت در سن بستی که می‌دارم می‌ترسم دو فاکتور اسم آمده نظر می‌گم افزون برای دونم امتحان است که امتحان در روانی است امتحان دیگه امتحان فإذا في نقطة دي نفع مطرح بشه میتون بیرون چطور میتون آدم برای مالیت کسی کنن جامعه رو کنن. This is very interesting for us, Honorable Director. Allow me to translate this factor. The chairman, as well as our ambassador, interested in the subject as well as we do. We are that when you touch upon the psychological test that you are referring to, would you mind telling us a little bit about this process and the procedure of this test? In addition to that, you have another kind of exam. The psychological test or the moral test that you are referring to, what do you mean by that? What's the procedures and the process of that? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, what a psychological test. Actually, that's a kind of test in order to understand, to know about the psychological capability of the person. Like for instance, every people has like a potential, sometimes the kind of a person. For instance, they are maybe a potential as a potential leader, or maybe is sometimes is a potential follower. This person is look like extrovert. This one is look like introvert. Extrovert, they can tell to anyone. So maybe for this type of persons, it's not good if they see or feel posted on maybe on intelligence maybe, but maybe they will be very good if he posted us on public relation, because the person who are very extrovert, they are very good in building and creating a friendship. Yeah. But for introvert, it's good as a researcher. This is a psychological test that we are using. So by the result of this test, usually this one is recommended to be asked, and then second, if recommended, what aspect that they have to improve in the future. And the third is maybe is very high recommended. So it's with the she cannot place in any place. This one.
This is a written.
This is a tricky one. For instance, if a prospective candidate take the exams and he's doing extremely well on his professional exam and his knowledge-based exam that applies for that particular position, and he will succeed. But when it comes to psychological exam, maybe he trembles and he cannot do well. In this case, it will be very difficult to balance these two factors. If we still go with these two exams, is there any office, or is a coordinated office to come and to judge, and the person will not fail and will grab still the position?
Yeah, I think competence test or knowledge-based test is actually to guarantee that everybody passed from this test will be able to deal with technical jobs. But personality or psychological test is a kind of whether they will be able to deal with a kind of something not technical. For example, how to solve the problem. Will he confuse when he face a kind of problem? So in this personality test, it is kind of such kind of case study. We are entering the situation, very crowd situation, and we are asked to solve the problem. And if they can solve the problem very well, then they will be posted in the position that needs the competence of problem solving, for example. But if the candidate can only analyze the situation, but not solve the problem, so this candidate maybe is perfectly posted in the research division, for example. So it is not a kind of dichotomy between the personality test and the knowledge-based test. So this is kind of just complementary. If you're able to do technical jobs, then which jobs is should with his or her personality, just like that.
So my understanding is that if someone passes the competency test, he is home run, but if he doesn't pass the psychological test, there will be something in his file, so he needs to improve. Thank you.
Thank you. You are most welcome.
Very tricky question.
One other question. There are any peculiarity for some civil servants, for example, civil servant in Ministry of Foreign Affairs? Or you mean that recruitment for the civil servant in Ministry of Foreign Affairs, there is some peculiarity? Special regulation?
I think until recently, we still have only law number 5, 2014. So during the next 3 months, we have to produce 19 government regulation, and from the government regulation will be will be promulgated by such kind of presidential decree or ministerial decree. So until recently, there is no specific treatment for every ministries, but it is of course open to have different treatment for different position. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. I think, as maybe I already explained yesterday, that in terms of recruitment system, that there are two institutions that are fully responsible in recruitment. One is Ministry of Administrative Reforms, and then second is each institution. So, Ministry of Administrative Reform conducting like basic competence, a general competence that should be passed for each candidate, and then for each institution, the second is each institution, including a Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they they have also in our institution NIPA, we also has like a specific test that may be fit with our needs. As we are like we need like the person who knows about education and training, knows about research, and knows about research activity and then innovation. So we we try to like identify what the competence that should be needed for the candidate, including also Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Yeah. I think in my impressions, one of the best recruitment system in Indonesia is one of it. There are some also is Ministry of Foreign Affairs. There are many candidates because the Ministry of Foreign Affairs still consider us maybe the most one of the most prestigious for the young graduate person, including me when I graduate from my university. I have obsession to be a diplomat, but unfortunately I couldn't have a chance to apply. So then finally to be a person. So they have like they also conducted some specific tests, especially like the TOEFL, English capability. So maybe for in our institution the TOEFL 450 is enough, but for them it's at least maybe for 530 or 540. That's one.
This means that you have the languages also.
In some position.
Some positions. Indonesian English. More
Indonesian English. Yes. Some Arabic.
Okay. You brought up a hot subject that the chairman would like to come back on this one. My apology to my colleague now. The chairman would like to know that if a prospective candidate passes both exams, especially the competency exam, is there any background check that you would like to know about that specific individual's background? If it is, what are the procedures?
Frankly speaking, in the previous yes, in the previous I mentioned during our former Suharto era. So there is like we have like a cleaning test. Yeah, it means I am free with like communism, etc., etc. In the previous, but now it's not. If maybe you are pass competence and psychological test, yes, almost you are pass. Unless maybe in the periods of the process, you did maybe misconduct on etc. Or maybe you violence the law, etc. So your candidacy will be withdrawn. This one. So basically no.
جواب ازنایی بود که در زمان آقای سوهانتو اگر کسی گذشته سیاسی مانند عضویت حزب کمونیست و کلمه داشت مسئله عام و خاصی بود برایش مقرر میشد. اما در ساحه ما امروز ما بقیانش چی میکنیم اگر مسئله اخلاقی نداشت، اگر مسئله مسلکی نداشت با نمیدن مقرر شد. Thank you. Sorry, if you find those problems, for instance, harassment issues and other major issues that you think that is a problem, then the prospective candidate will not be hired. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you very much for the excellent presentation and information. It was really informative. I have one quick question, just a specific question. The topic of psychological tests is really an interesting area for us. That's something because we are also trying to shift from a more knowledge-based recruitment system to a competency-based recruitment system. I'm sure you may have some documentation on that, which is introducing two technical procedures for conducting psychology psychological test. That's something which, if you could share with us, that would be great, because that would be a good learning for us, and also we can take it home back and look with the ground reality of Afghanistan, and then develop something which works for us well. And my question is very particularly about grievance handling system in your equipment system. Since we are also in this business for quite some time as Civil Service Commission, normally you have 10, 20, 50 or 100 candidates applying for a position. And at the end of the day, one person will get the position. While there are many others who are not considered to be competent enough to get that position. And there's normal phenomenon of lots of complaints. What's the grievance handling or complaint handling system you have here? And how do you really try to make sure that those who are taking part, they feel it was a transparent process? So what's your transparency measures and mechanisms also? And my second question is, another area which was quite interesting here was the exchange of position exchange with private sector. Can you elaborate a little bit on that also? What's the mechanism? How you ensure that there is an exchange of position between public and private sector? Thank you.
Yeah, the last question, actually, we still discussing about how to build the mechanism of the position exchange. So again, it is not already implemented, but it is already written in the new law. And the other thing is that regarding transparency, of course, from the very beginning of the process, it is always published in all media we have, including newspaper, our websites, and also by technical letters to ministries and to local governments. And how to handle about grievance or complaint, for example, and there is no specific mechanism of grievance handling mechanism, but actually we already have about the conflict resolution in our employment system. For example, if someone is being moved to other job or to other region, for example, and there is a tendency of something that it is a kind of not fair and not just policies, for example, then they can sue the officer to the court. Yes. So we have administrative court, particularly to deal with conflict in government issues.
There's an administrative law also.
Yes.
So that's the second area where which is an interest part for
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
And if you could share that notes with us, thank you.
Yeah, I want to maybe add some comment and then also explanation about exchange position. We call actually is private and public exchange programs. Yeah, public position. That is a new system, and then we learn from some country. One country is in Japan. Yeah. In Japan, like there are about 2 million of public servants, and that's still nowadays there are about 1,500 positions already exchanged from private into the public. The mechanism is for the person who are in charge in public position, for instance, as a director of human resources. They are posted on private position for certain period. Example is one month, and then in the meantime, and that's they for private position they will also posted on public position on certain periods. There are one advantage for public and private. They can build a mutual understanding. Because in the future, if we run the government not only merely of the government authority, but also the role of business and then the role of society is very great. Yeah. And then the second is about your, I think it's very, your request, yeah, about the psychological test. Yeah. Yeah, I'm so sorry, that's maybe because tomorrow you will visit the civil service office. Yeah. I think civil service office will have a very many example of psychological tests, and then you can hopefully you can bring some example from this one. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think that's all for recruitment aspect. And why don't we move to another issues? And Mr. Marpao will deliver some thoughts about training, training reform. And Mr. Marpao is also a senior trainers in the government aspect. So it will be very short, Pak Marpao,
Yes.
because our time is also very limited. Before 12, we will close the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Patri. I think this topic has been touched a little bit yesterday when you were with Mr. Tributodo in Menpan, but I'll just add some more detailed information about the leadership training, because that's basically one of the three topics that you requested in your letter to be discussed in this visit: the leadership training, training reforms in Indonesia. When we talk about leadership training, it's mostly for the structural positions, or name in our context is the echelon, which is now, as already mentioned by Mr. Tributodo just now, has been changed into grading system. Next, please. Why do we have this reform in terms of education? Because we realize that the current systems, a lot of things that we realize that we are not up to the global scenario, global competitiveness, and also 2015 there is this ASEAN integration. So we focus ourselves more to this reform in order to be able to cope with the global needs and also ASEAN needs or international needs. And what will be the reform that we are actually doing, and what will be the foreground that we expected as an output or outcome of this training? Next, please. This is a little bit of the background rationale of the change, why we changed this leadership training. In the past, higher intervention of political in terms of recruitment into our system. So collaboration, coalition, nepotism, a lot there, and relatively close and localized career development. In the past, up to 2013, once you enter the civil servants, and that's it, that's for life. And once you are out from the system, then you cannot get back to the system. That's why the government introduced one of the reasons why we introduced the law number 5, 2014, issued on the 15th of January 2014. Lack of competency and professionalism development, yes, we realize that. It's being a civil servant, not a profession. It's a chance, in the past it's a chance to work for the government. It's not basically mindset to serve for the country. But now we are introducing the mindset of the new cadre to the civil service, that being working in the civil service, you are actually serving the country. In the past, we have very low motivation. Fighting speed is very small. Then we are working from 8 to 4. That's it. Then there's no innovation, and very difficult to motivate people to work more efficient. Next, please. As we put the service, we cannot work alone on this, because we have this long-term vision 2025. We have the long-term planning there. We want to be democratic, justice, prosperity in Indonesia. In the past, we work mindset on each ministries and non-ministerial agencies,
But now we think we have to be one in terms of managing the competency of the civil servants. And we are facing also by 2025 bureaucratic reform. We have to be there. We have to produce world-class bureaucracy. World-class bureaucracy with competence and mindset and culture related to that. And we want the aim of national aim by 2025. We want to be top 12 largest economy, if possible, in the world by 2025. So for this foreground, we are working closely. How are we going to have this kind of government civil servants to cope with all these objectives? Next, please. In front of us, 2015, we have this ASEAN community. We are facing with the turbulence from ASEAN community society, political security, and socio-cultural society. Then for these three agendas, I think we have to make sure our civil servants is ready, are ready to cope with all these economic, political, not only from Indonesia or within Indonesia, but also from our neighboring country within ASEAN. So we are one economic ASEAN. Then how are we going to cope with this? Because we expect by 2015, foreign doctors will come to Indonesia. And also foreign teachers, lecturers will come to Indonesia because it's an open opportunity for ASEAN community. So we are actually preparing our bureaucracy to cope with that. Next, please. What we have at the moment, the current problems that we face in 2014, we feel at ease of doing our business. Why bother innovation? We have comfort zone, and that's what we don't. We want to motivate people out of this comfort zone. We realized we have very low government effectiveness. That's from international evaluation. We also have innovation index very low, but we are going to push on that. And also corruption perception index is quite high for Indonesia in the world or even among ASEAN countries. So we are going to work on that. That's the current problem we have in Indonesia in 2014. Next, please. So if we look at the time frame, now in front of us there are 11 years left. Questions, are we ready? What can we do to fill the 11 years in order to be able to stand straight, similar with other developed countries by 2025? That's why we need change. Change is not only in competence, change in the mindset, change in attitude, change in culture, and change in, as the question just in the competency, capability, comprehensive capability building within the 11 years. Next, please. Okay. This is what we value our bureaucracy, world-class bureaucracy, with some attachment of the keywords there, being professional, integrity, public value-driven, public service quality orientation, and global perspectives. It's not only local, national, or regional, but also it's going to be global perspective. Somebody, civil service that can collaborate nationally or even internationally. For that reason, we have to equip them with mental sets, cultural sets, language capabilities in order to be able to cope with other civil servants worldwide. Next, please. So, for that, we do some analysis of training for the civil servants. We are actually doing what we call training needs analysis for macro and micro level. For macro, we look at training needs analysis for each ministries or non-ministries, but for micro is for division or sector or directory levels. The result of the training needs analysis, we have the solution to for the civil servants, training approach and non-training approach. So we balance at the moment in terms of competent capacity building. We approach two scenarios. One through the training services, and the other one is through non-training services. Through training services, that's part of the leadership training. That's the classical and blended system, but the non-training branch is going to be implemented within one ministry's or one non-ministry's institution's responsibility of each institution, and should be stated in the strategic planning, annual planning, and activity per se. Next, please. Okay. We hope that through this leadership training, we build the competency of the civil servants. We produce learning product that we expect from the leadership training. We have some change projects to be implemented, short, medium, and long term within their institutions, and also the venue. In the past, we training mostly conducted in classrooms, but now classroom and non-classrooms. So we call that blended system. So there are some sessions to be conducted outside the classroom and some sessions within the classroom. And the opportunity we have the on-off learning and experience learning. I'll get back to that later on more detail. Next, please. Okay. And in order to be able to achieve that, we realized that we have to strengthen the trainers, the facilitators' capacity, because we value that the competency of the trainers, the facilitators should be strengthened in order to be able to collaborate with participants to get the best out of the training system. And we also introducing in the past, when we talk about training, it's solely the responsibility of training centers. But now, we also encourage the supervisors, the mentors from each institutions to be part of the system of the training. So when they are off campus, when they are off the training, the mentor, the supervisor will be able to work with them, working on the change project that they are bringing about. And also we are actually conducting the post-training evaluation, the implication of training to their systems. And this training, in the past, training was not only the prerequisite, but now training would be prerequisite for job promotion. If you don't take certain type of training, either leadership, technical or managerial training, then you are not going to be promoted. So it's part of the system to be promotion. Next, please. Okay, so this is the learning agenda from candidates to the alumni. We have the, I assume that you got from Mr. Widodo yesterday, the self-mastery, diagnostic. That's the system, the white ones. These are the systems that we equip them during the training and non-training, and we hope to get the alumni competent in their training. Next, please. Okay, so this is the substance of change in training for government apparatus. Now, we are installing actually competency-based training. So, what's the focus of change that I mentioned earlier? The focus is objectives, the curriculum, the method, the media, facilities, trainer, implementation, finance, and timing. These are the focus of change. By changing this focus, then we are aiming to get the reform in leadership training, pre-service, functional, and technical training. In Indonesia, we have two types of training actually, pre-service and in-service. The pre-service training is prerequisite to enter the civil service. The in-service training is the training for promotion, training for high-level position, namely in three sectors. That's leadership, technical, and functional training. The functional training is the requirement to enter functional jobs, functional positions. Next. Okay. This is the learning sequence. There are 5 stages that we are actually applying at the moment. Stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stage 1, Stage 3, and Stage 5, they are in the classrooms. Stage 2 and 4, they are off campus. They are in their work situation, in their permanent system. So Stage 1, we equip them with their diagnostic reading. Stage 2, they take ownership to plan change that they're going to implement in their system. In Stage 3, we help them to design change and building effective teams for the change, including benchmarking there. And also Stage 4 is leadership laboratory, and they are actually implementing the change within the institution, and then see whether the change has already been growing. And if they are successful, in Stage 5, they will get the certificate of competency. If they are successful, they will get certificate of attendance. Next, please. This is an example of leadership training we have for level 3. Level 3 is head division level. So Stage 1, 2, 3, these are the days, 9 days, 5 days, up to 2 days. These are the days that we implement, and as an example to give an idea how long will it take for each stage in the system. Next, please. Okay. The pre-service training that we discussed this morning, actually, the objective is to provide a cadre with high integrity and suitable behavior in terms of character building, suitable because every ministry, every non-ministries have got different work culture and situations. So when Mr. Anwar was talking about this specific test, then the responsibility, this specific test is going to check whether the character, the behavior is suitable to the designated institution applied by the new candidates. There are 5 basic values. We call them in Indonesia aneka. Aneka is variety. There's accountability, nationalism, ethics, commitment to quality, and anti-corruption. Next, please. Okay. So we believe by doing these things, we believe the process and the output from will get a competent training alumni, not only at the central level. Just for your information, currently there are about 4.3 million people, civil service nationwide. So our organization, our NIPA, is the so we are fostering institution for training nationwide. But to help us, we have these training centers in each ministries and regional centers and regional office, and standard is from us. So there are 3 keywords that we play for training here: standard quality, control quality, and quality assurance. That's the 3 things that we've been practicing. So by having competent training alumni, we expect as the outcome to be professional in the work situation in the civil service, and in the long run, by 2025, we have world-class bureaucracy that can be able to compete with other civil servants from other countries, even from developing or even from the developed countries. I think that's all the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Marwal. Ladies and gentlemen, since we already discussed about this, I think it is enough to this session. And if you wouldn't mind, I would like to explain one more presentation regarding innovation of public administration. As I mentioned before, that one of the tasks of NIPA is to promote innovation. And yesterday, Mr. Eko Prasojo. Oh yes, yes. Oh sure. Yes, Mr. Prasojo.
Yeah. What do you mean on nationalism? What it means for you?
Yeah. Yesterday, I already mentioned about the meaning of nationalism. So nationalism is actually not going to war or to deal with or conflict with others, no. But yes, yeah. But we try to interpret nationalism in modern life. For example, that we have to pay taxes. Then it is kind of having nationalism, or such kind of discipline, building national discipline, going to office on the right time, not leave the task and so on. It's also about nationalism, etc. So there are so many ways to interpret about nationalism in modern life.
Excuse me, please. What is the connection between nationalism and Pancasila?
Yeah, Pancasila. That's one. We have 4 pillars, Mr. Ambassador. One pillar
is Pancasila, 5 basic principles, and then the second is Constitution 1945, and then the third is a nation, NKRI, Indonesian, unified Indonesian, unitary Indonesian country, and then the fourth is we call by Bhinneka Tunggal Ika is diversity and harmony, yeah, and unity, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
can be understandable because it's very Indonesian terms.
Yeah, actually, Pancasila consists of 5 pillars, 5 principles, and each principle is elaborated into many values, and these values is actually related to daily life. So such kind of respect to each other is also the values of the Pancasila. we have at least 45 principles as the elaboration of 5 principles. So, Mr. Ambassador, Mr. Chairman, and other delegates from Afghanistan, yesterday Mr. Eko Prasojo mentioned that our bureaucracy is actually still in the level of rule-based bureaucracy. So we have to get out from this situation, and we have to enter the other level, competitive bureaucracy, and finally dynamic governance. So how to change from rule-based bureaucracy to dynamic governance is actually something that we try to find here. And the answer is actually that we have to innovate all of our process in the government sectors. So we try to define what is actually public administration innovation. But if you enter public administration innovation in Indonesian term, inovasi administrasi negara, for example, in Google, then you cannot find so many inputs about inovasi in public administration in Indonesia. So innovation in Indonesia is actually still very new things, very new policies, and there is no law that specifically mention about innovation. We will have a law of local government, and there will be one chapter regarding innovation. So it is still very new. Next, we try to define about what is innovation and what is invention, and we don't encourage local government or central government to invent something, but we try to innovate about our business process. Next, and why innovation is really important. This is the data, the current situation in Indonesia from at least 2010 until recently, and from every indicators, from doing business, government effectiveness, global competitiveness, human development index, and so on and so on. The position of Indonesia is quite low, or at least in the middle position. Next, and the other thing that regarding to international institutions such as World Bank or McKinsey institution, Indonesia will be the top 7 economy in 2040, and in 2050, Indonesia will be the number 4 of the biggest economy in the world. So it is rather impossible actually, except we can make an innovation. Next. So what we have to change is like this. We have to make a giant leap from 2014 until 2040. How to make this giant leap? We only have one choice: to innovate all of our business process or our policies in Indonesia. Next. And this is kind of scope, the scope of innovation of public administration. We define innovation of public administration in 3 fields. The first is governance innovation, and the second is public service innovation, and the third one is institutional and human resource innovation. In terms of innovation of governance aspect, next, it deals with such kind of policy reform, regulatory reform. It means that our regulation in Indonesia should be reassessed, should be re-evaluated whether this policy is quite effective or not, whether it is beneficial for the people or not. So we try to reassess our regulation, both in central and